How's it going, guys? Welcome back. We're doing another reaction. Now, this is, I believe it's Talon VGC is his name? Talon VGC? Talon VGC, yeah. Okay. So, Talon VGC is going to talk about Wolf Glick. Now, for those of you not in the know, Wolf Glick is a competitive Pokemon player, former world champion. And honestly, he is the only quote-unquote Poketuber that I follow religiously. Every time he posts a video, I watch. Currently, he's doing Bug Month. I'm not a big fan of the way he does, but whatever. Sorry, I think he's a funny guy. His brain works insane. Like a lot of whenever I play Nuzlocke now or I play Pokemon in general, I think 3 or 4 times before I choose a Pokemon or a move, because Wolf has taught me a lot about Pokemon, and it's kind of nuts. It's like if you're a Pokemon fan, Wolf Glick is a good source of information, especially for competitive play. And of course, he dabbles in VGC. Not dabbles, he is a champion in VGC, which is a doubles format. So you choose a team of 6 Pokemon, and you send out 4 of them into a fight. So team building, all this stuff is things that he does and does really well. He is infamously known for Paris Trap. That is his favorite kind of strategy when he plays competitive. But that doesn't mean he can't play other stuff. It's just that his signature, he is known for the Wolfie Paris Trap. He uses Gothitelle and crap, who was it? Somebody else to keep Pokemon trapped on the field. But it's Parasong, yeah, it's Gothitelle and the Politoed or whoever the other Paris Song users are. It just keeps them trapped on the field and then switches out at the last second so everyone dies. So really, really fun, really, really cool. And again, his brain works amazingly and his content is fabulous. If you're not following Wolfie VGC, I would highly recommend doing so if you are a Pokemon fan, especially if you like battling a lot. But this is Talon VGC's video, and we're going to watch him. I think this is what the top 5 most iconic Wolfie VGC moments. So let's get it.
Wolf Glick is the biggest name in competitive Pokemon, with an unrivaled amount of tournament wins in the official Pokemon video game championships and a YouTube channel that's introduced millions of casual fans to competitive play. Wolf is inarguably the most iconic player in Pokemon. With his channel's enormous boom in popularity during the Scarlet and Violet era, he's made quite a few new fans, many of whom don't fully grasp the extent of Wolfie's competitive history, stretching all the way back to Pokemon Black and White in 2011. As a fellow old head player myself, I've been there from the start, and I'm putting
Wolf, like you look, okay, just look at Wolfie here, right? I think he was 16 when this was taken.
And White in 2011. As a fellow old head player myself, I've been there from the start, and I'm putting that experience to good use here by going through the moments in Wolf's Pokemon career that
I'm sorry, Wolfie had long ass hair like that before? Ew, gross. Wolf, I'm glad you got a haircut.
cemented him as a pillar of the competitive scene. We'll be going over the times that perfectly encapsulate not only Wolf's play, but also his personality and overall legacy in the game. In short, the moments that helped shape Wolf Glick into the icon he is today. My criteria for that might differ from yours though, so let me know if I missed any of your favorite moments in the comments below. Without further ado, here are my top 5 most iconic Wolfie moments.
Before we jump into this, Wolf has a bad habit. Not a bad, I'm sure he does it just to annoy people, but he pronounces certain Pokemon's names like wrong on purpose. Like Arcanine, he calls it Arcanine, which when I first heard, I was like, he has to be trolling. He cannot be that much of a jackass to say Arcanine when it's Arcanine. But whatever, it's fine. It was funny. It was just funny. There are a couple other Pokemon that he just pronounced all the names on like badly on purpose. Fucking infuriating. But his videos are fabulous. Again, I can't say this enough. If you are a Pokemon fan, go follow his channel.
Number 5. Wolf vs. Ray. For number 5, we're looking way back to Worlds 2012. At the time, Wolf was still a young upstart, well respected for his play and some huge tournament wins, but not yet the popular figure he is today.
Is that Aaron Zhang?
Upstart. Well respected.
Aaron hasn't changed a bit. He looks just the same, just taller, I guess, and shorter hair.
for his play and some huge tournament wins, but not yet the popular figure he is today. That was all about to change though, with Wolf making finals of only his second World Championship, with a unique team featuring Harvest Executor, a never-used Pokemon, along with a unique strategy that skill-swapped Levitate onto Heatran to get rid of its 4 times ground weakness.
So, those of you not in the lore situation, it sounds terrible when I say you're not in the lore, but basically, Executor is one of Wolfie's favorite Pokemon. And like Talon said, it's not used at all. But Wolfie likes to do these weird things in his competitive games. Just throws everybody off. He brings in some strange Pokemon with some strange strategy that he came up with. And everyone's like, what the fuck? But unfortunately, the problem with... I think the problem that Wolf has is because he's so crazy and out there. Oftentimes he beats his competition initially. Then he gets put onto the stream stage. Now, it is an open sheet. So your opponent knows what you're building, and you can see what your opponent is building, and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But the problem also is everybody else gets to see your team, because when you're on the stream, I think they broadcast to the entire arena, the fight, because you are like prime time. So everyone sees your build, and everyone sees your team and your strat, and they can start building counters against it later, or they at least know how to deal with the situation. Because once you build a team, you're stuck with that team. You can't change your team mid-tournament, if I'm not mistaken. But Wolfie does this thing a lot. Like I just said, Executor, one of his favorite Pokemon that's never used. But it's Harvest Executor, so it means he can get back his berries and all that kind of stuff. So, kind of cool.
It was a fan-favorite team, and Wolf could taste victory. However, the last person standing in his way was a familiar face in Ray Rizzo, the reigning 2-time world champion who had knocked Wolf out of his first world championship in top 8 the previous year. It's now finals, with Wolf down 1 loss in the best-of-3 set. However, the tide may be turning, since he's finally found an opening to break through Ray's otherwise unbreakable defenses. After baiting a defensive switch-in of Ray's Tyranitar and bringing in his own Hitmontop, Wolf has the upper hand, with the combination of close combat and one of Heatran's attacks KOing any of Ray's Pokemon in the Tyranitar slot. Wolf predicts Tyranitar will leave itself open to this pressure, fires off a close combat, but hits into Cresselia. Wolf later confirmed that this was a misclick, the pressure of World's Finals against his greatest rival breaking him in the final moments. This turn is too much for him to come back from. It was his last chance to crack Ray's defenses, and Wolf loses Game 2 and his chance at the World Champion.
Yeah. Because that Tyranitar was dead, like regardless. If that close combat was on the correct Pokemon, that was a dead Tyranitar. Because Tyranitar is 4 times weak to fighting.
That year. Now, it may seem odd to include this lowlight in Wolf's highlight reel of a career, but at the time, this was a key part of his legacy. Even so many years later, Wolf's losing record to Ray is a major sticking point against him in the VGC greatest debate. However,
the other problem is, like, I think a lot of people, they think Pokemon is a children's game, right? But you've got adults competing. I think, like, what? Wolfie's either in his early or late 30s. And he's very competitive. And it's pressure. You are up against the world. You're up for the world championship. You're taking on people who are younger than you, who have more free time than you. And you're coming together to perform at the highest level of skill and skill expression and team building. So it's really, so him making that mistake as a misclick, it's stressful. That's the final match. That's finals. That's match 2. It's always a best of 3 situation. That's match 2. And that misclick cost him his championship. But anyway, continuing.
What makes this moment iconic to me is that Wolf didn't let it define him. He could have forever been known as the guy who close combated Cresselia in World's Finals, but instead, he reached deep down, put in the work, and years later returned to the World's Finals for a chance at redemption. Today, most people see Wolf as a player who just wins. Simple as that. But I see him as a player who rises up stronger from any loss, no matter how crushing, and this moment stands as a testament to that unbreakable spirit. Number 4. Milotic Magic. Ask any top-level competitor and they'll tell you that defensive play and switching mastery are Wolf's most dominant skills in Pokemon. Not only does he flourish using abilities like Intimidate to lower attack and leave opponents' offenses weakened and frustrated, He also knows how to use their Intimidate against them, with Pokemon like Milotic. Milotic is a Pokemon with underwhelming stats and moves for competition, but a valuable ability in competitive, which raises its special attack stat by 2 stages when any stat is lowered, including its attack stat. Unfortunately, without a competitive boost, Milotic often struggles to make an impact on battles. As a result,
Oh, I thought Milotic was a powerhouse of a Pokemon. I could have sworn it was good, right? Wait, what are Milotic's base stats? Sorry, we're just gonna take a quick pause here for a second. Milotic. Is it really that bad? Can't be. Like, it's a hard Pokemon to get, not anymore. But when it was first in the Generation 3, when it was first introduced, the only way you could get a Milotic was, first of all, catching a Feebas. And then on top of that, using blue Pokeblocks to max out its beauty, and then level up once, and then you get a Milotic. The difficulty was catching a Feebas, because it was very hard to find. What is its stat line? I mean, it's got fantastic bulk, decent HP. I mean, yeah, okay, yeah, even a special attack is okay, maybe 100. Not very fast. It's especially bulky. Actually, physically not very bulky. Okay, fair enough. Okay.
competitive players typically avoid leading Intimidate into teams with Milotic to deny it that boost. At the 2015 US National Championship, Wolf recognized this tendency and exploited it, building a team that perfectly abuses Milotic's strengths with a downright devious bait. He'd lead Kangaskhan and Landorus, the 2 strongest physical attackers in the format. Predicting an Intimidate switch to weaken them, he'd immediately switch Kangaskhan out into Milotic. Since Kangaskhan was often the fastest Pokemon of the field, and switch order is determined by Pokemon speed, Milotic would switch in before Intimidate activated and receive the competitive boost. To add insult to injury, Wolf would U-turn with his Landorus and bring Kangaskhan in, now pressuring with a boosted Milotic and a neutral Mega Kangaskhan, an overwhelmingly powerful duo.
Yeah, at this point in time, Kangaskhan was one of the most powerful Pokemon of all time. Mega Kangaskhan, I should say, because of the ability known as Parental Bond, which is unique to Kangaskhan and Kangaskhan alone. So how Parental Bond works is, whatever move Kangaskhan uses, its child, as you can see in front of it, would also use that move again. So what ended up happening is, there used to be a move called Power Up Punch. You hit, and your attack goes up by 1 stage. Now, because of the way Parental Bond works, for 1 PP, or 1 power point I should say, when you use Power Up Punch, the child would also use Power Up Punch. So you would get a +2. Basically, you gain the boost of a Swords Dance in 1 move thanks to Parental Bond. Kangaskhan was a menace. So much so, they had to nerf Parental Bond in the following generations.
While this is my favorite example of this play, since it involves a friend of mine recognizing its strength in real time, it's far from the last time Wolf has pulled it off. Wolf went on to win a regional with Milotic in 2018 with a similar strategy, executing this bait several times during his streamed games in that season, even doing so at the World Championship. While it may look simple, this play shows not only Wolf's ability to recognize common trends in competitive play, but also his ability to build inventive strategies that bait and exploit them to an absurd degree of success. Number 3.
Wolfie! Wolfie con Perish.
While some players have signature Pokemon or styles of teams across the years, none have the same level of intimidating aura as Wolf playing with the Perish Song Shadow Tag strategy, often known as Perish Trap. Perish Song is a move that starts a 3-turn timer after being used. Once this timer expires, all Pokemon that heard the Perish Song faint, regardless of their HP totals. This is an incredibly powerful move in Pokemon VGC, since you can KO 2 Pokemon, half of your opponent's team of 4, with 1 move. There's just one catch. The Perish Song status expires whenever a Pokemon switches out, which is fairly simple counterplay. However, when a Pokemon with Shadow Tag is on the field, opposing Pokemon can't switch out, forcing them to faint to the Perish Song. Once you know the Perish Trap combo is coming though, the counterplay is pretty simple. KO the Shadow Tag user and switch, or KO the Perish Song user to disrupt their main form of offense. To consistently win with Perish Trap teams, the user needs to have an extremely precise understanding of defensive play, considering not just this turn but multiple turns in the future to set the stage for a Perish Song victory. It's incredibly rare to compete at the top level with this style of team, but despite that, Wolf has won not 1, not 2, but 3 regional championships with Parish Trap teams. This is already an impressive feat, without even mentioning that Wolf's only brought Parish Trap to regionals 3 times. Add in a recent Parish International Championship win, and you start to understand the level of mastery Wolf has over the strategy. While Wolf's Toronto Regional Finals win against Marco Silva, one of the best Pokemon players in the modern era, is one of his most high-profile Parish Trap wins, I honestly debated placing a Wolf Double Protect, Switch, Protect montage here. I decided to highlight this Wolfecon Parish moment from his 2015 finals versus future international champion Ashton Cox.
I can't believe that that's become the meme now. Oh no! Wolfecon Parish. It's iconic.
The match that put Parish Trap on the map is a serious tournament threat. It's Game 1, and Wolf's Parish Song Shadow Tag Mega Gengar is threatened by Choice Scarf Landorus Therian Earthquake. Wolf can Parish Song and switch to Intimidate Scrafty to survive the Earthquake, but losing Shadow Tag to Ashton reading that switch and using Thunderbolt on his Gengar will immediately lose Wolf the game. His back is against the wall, but Wolf Click has a trick up his sleeve. Eject Button Amoonguss. Eject Button is uncommon in Pokemon competition, since it's rarely advantageous to be forced to switch when your own Pokemon takes damage. However, rarely isn't never. Wolf switches out his Gengar to Scrafty, foregoing Parish Song and Shadow Tag pressure. Landorus's Earthquake strikes Amoonguss, activating its Eject Button and allowing Gengar to come back in. Wolf can now fake out and disable the Landorus slot to lock it into Struggle, then bring in Amoonguss to use Rage Powder, redirecting Rotom's attacks away from Gengar, and win the game with minimal risk in future turns with Parish Song. This play shows Wolf's multi-turn foresight on full display, as well as his keen understanding of how to play himself out of tricky turns. Consistent plays on this level have made the Parish Trap archetype his signature across the years, and have even made the best players in the world wary of Wolfecon Parish.
So
Number
good.
2. Trick Attack. This next play isn't from a tournament set, but rather from Wolf's YouTube channel at the start of Pokemon Sword and Shield, when his channel took off in popularity and Wolf began focusing on content full-time. Pokemon Sword and Shield introduced a new central mechanic that allowed Pokemon to transform for 3 turns into a Dynamax form.
I was never a big fan of the Dynamax era. Like, for me, I think Pokemon peaked at Mega Evolutions. I thought Mega Evolutions were the coolest thing ever. Z moves were garbage. I did not like the Z move thing at all from Sun and Moon. I didn't really like the Dynamax mechanic either, and Terrestrialization had the possibility of becoming really, really cool looking, but instead you got a stupid hat. Because the idea here is when we're playing a game where visuals are important, right? Like, even though the gameplay doesn't really change much, the visuals are like, oh my god, this is so cool, it's turned into something else. It's become even stronger, right? But something like Terrestrialization, you get a stupid hat that relates to your fucking type, and then you get a massive boost on all your stuff. Or you can use it as a defensive Terra to to remove the weakness that you possibly have. Something like what was it? Crap. There was a good Shedinja. It has Wonder Guard. Right? So what you do is you give Shedinja a balloon so it flies off the ground, and then you Terra it into electric. So nobody can hit you because you have Wonder Guard, and electric can't hit you because you're flying off the ground. So immediately you have a Pokemon that cannot die, short of you using something like Sandstorm or Old Hail or something like that. Basically anything that does indirect damage. Like I don't know if you can poison. I don't know if you can use Will-O-Wisp or Toxic or any of that on a Shedinja, or I'm not sure. I haven't actually tried. But yeah, it made Shedinja near unkillable. But either way, my point is the Terra thing. I really thought that instead of getting stupid fucking hats, they would actually like change their colors or something. But no, it didn't look good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Scarlet and Violet is ugly as shit as a game. But Terrestrialization is a cool concept and it's a cool mechanic, but it's not as fun or interesting as Mega Evolutions, which is why they made Legend ZA, which I will never buy because it looks like shit, and I'm not going to give them the money when it's shit. Sorry. I don't care about the new battle mechanic. I don't, because that battle mechanic is not viable for a competitive play. It's just spamming buttons. Fuck that. Whoever, if you like Legend ZA, fine. I think you're high. I think you're dumb, but that's just me. Carrying on.
Doubling its HP and gaining access to powerful max moves once per battle. Most previous means of disrupting offensive Pokemon didn't work on Dynamax Pokemon. Flinching with Fake Out didn't work since Dynamax Pokemon can't flinch, Protect didn't fully block Dynamax moves, and Roar, Whirlwind, and Red Card failed, since Dynamax Pokemon are immune to an opponent's switch-forcing moves and items. Needless to say, Dynamax changed everything in competition, and in the first few weeks of the game's release, competitive players were all trying to figure out how to defend against it. Meanwhile, Wolf and his friends were doing this.
Wait. What?
All trying to figure out how to defend against it. Meanwhile, Wolf and his friends were doing this.
Okay, trick.
Confused?
That was actually brilliant. I mean, it's not competitively viable. It's a gimmick at best. I mean, Talon's going to explain it right now, so I'll let him explain it.
Alright, time to admit that I buried the lead a little bit in my introduction of Dynamax. While Dynamax Pokemon can't be forced to switch by an opponent's moves or items, it doesn't stop force switches from your own Pokemon's items. Thus, if a Dynamax Pokemon is hit while holding an eject button, it is forced to switch. To use this offensively, you can equip eject button to a prankster user to use an increased priority trick or switcheroo before a Dynamax Pokemon can attack. Then follow up with another fast attack to completely nullify Dynamax if you read it on the turn they begin their transformation. While this requires a pretty big read and commitment of resources, it gives you a massive advantage if it works, sacrificing an item to be able to play the rest of the battle with your own Dynamax while your opponent had theirs wasted. Now, I think this moment represents Wolf in many ways. Competitively, it shows his ability to read his opponents and perform a complete reversal of their expectation using every resource or game mechanic available to him, regardless of how obscure. More casually, it's always been clear that despite how seriously Wolf takes Pokemon, he's also willing to lean into his love for the game and really have fun with it. In my opinion, the combination of these are a big part of him accumulating a massive fan base since then, and this play is personally my favorite example of this. Honorable mention, Wolf.
Yeah, that's evil as hell, actually. That's really evil. Hey, have my eject button. And then, of all the fucking moves in the world to use, you use Quick Attack. Fucking Quick Attack. Which is, again, it's a priority move, so it'll always go first. Right? And you spec Sylveon with high speed. Sorry, Sylveon? That was Sylveon, yeah. High speed. And just knock them, and they're just thrown out. And the Dynamax ends. So you just denied your opponent a massive fucking damage boost. And just a powerful Pokemon all in all. Absolutely insane. My god. You can see a Wolf losing his shit. Because he's like, I can't believe this worked.
Wolf turns heel. Wolf is so strong that in the time it took me to write and edit most of this video after his Toronto Regionals win, Wolf won the European International Championships, which was the biggest Pokemon tournament ever. While his gameplay was astoundingly good throughout the tournament, after an intense finals match, it was his victory speech that caught everyone's attention, and I'll just let his words speak for themselves here.
Honestly, I'm just thinking about the scope. The biggest official Pokemon tournament of all time. 1,400 players trained their Pokemon, traveled to London, practiced with a friend, worked on their team. 1,400 people showed up to this tournament hoping and dreaming to win the entire thing. But it wasn't enough!
Speaking of not enough, with all eyes on him, Wolf announced that the mysterious, unrevealed winner of the Global Challenge, a massive international online tournament, was none other than himself. Despite having an automatic Worlds invite already and having nothing to play for in the tournament, Wolf pushed himself to win, seemingly just to flex that he could. Wolf has often played around with ego on stream, but here he absolutely turned the bravado up to 11, while still keeping it respectful to competitors and just stating the facts. At this point, VGC feels like his to lose, and with 3 consecutive major tournament wins, it's hard to argue with him. Wolf's EUIC victory speech was incredible theater, but it's so recent at the time of recording this that I can't say where it should fall on this list. However, if Wolf's heel turn stands the test of time, it may one day challenge number 1 on this list for most iconic Wolfie moment. Number 1. World Champ Difference. At the end of the day,
So yeah, World Champ Difference is one of his taglines. Do you want the World Champ Difference? So as part, like, one of the things you can do is you can subscribe to his Patreon, get access to his team building sheets, the way he makes teams, and the various teams he's made and how they work, how to use them, how to improve your own play, and so on and so forth. So you can be part of that. And he's like, do you want the World Champ Difference? And that is like one of the, that used to be, not so much anymore, but that used to be his tagline. I will give you the World Champ Difference for you to be better at the game. And then come fight me. Maybe you'll be enough this time.
what else could number 1 be but the play that won Wolf the Pokemon World Championships? The culmination of years of hard work, this play comes at the 2016 World Championships, 4 years after his previous finals appearance. Since then, he'd been in striking distance twice, but missed out on a chance at the final top 8 bracket both times due to resistance, Pokemon's controversial tiebreaker system. Getting into finals, he's up 1 game in the set, but vulnerable to losing and sending it to a Game 3. Wolf is up 3 Pokemon to 2 with Fake Out available on his Hitmontop, Trick Room is up, and Rayquaza is vulnerable with lowered defenses. If Wolf gets this turn wrong, his opponent can mount a comeback. Using Fake Out into Groudon will stop a powerful Eruption and allow Wolf to hit Groudon with Rayquaza, weakening further Eruption since its base power is determined by remaining HP. However, taking a Gyro Ball on Rayquaza could leave Wolf open to a KO next turn. Alternatively, using Fake Out into Bronzong stops Gyro Ball, but will allow Groudon to use Eruption, knocking out Hitmontop and allowing Wolf's opponent to follow up the next turn with Skill Swap onto his own Groudon, resetting Desolate Land against Kyogre and allowing it to take a double KO. The players weigh the options and the play starts. Wolf's Rayquaza Mega Evolves and Primal Groudon protects, covering for Fake Out into it. Wolf seems taken aback, and his opponent looks up, shocked, allowing himself the hope that he has found a way to start the comeback that could lead to him winning the game and potentially the World Championship. Fake Out comes out, and it's into Bronzong. As Rayquaza clicks Swords Dance, now perfectly poised to win the battle, Wolf playfully grins at the camera, having
Yeah, see, that is the most iconic one because he pretended that he fucked up. Almost like he did that same thing with Ray Rizzo. He misclicked and hit the wrong Pokemon. And now, of course, the villainous look. Gotcha.
won that turn and the mental battle, the hope from his opponent's eyes now gone. With the +2 attack boost on Dragon Ascent, Wolf has the damage he needs to KO the Groudon before going down. In Shades of 2012, Wolf's Hitmontop close comments his opponent's Trick Room user, but this time, instead of crushing defeat, it will result in a sweet deserved victory, and the birth of the World Champ Difference. While this may well be his most flashy read, Wolf and his opponent later recount that by double attacking instead of protecting Groudon, his opponent had a near guaranteed win that neither recognized at the time. However, nobody knows better the amount of pressure that the World's Finals can bring than Wolf, and exploiting cracks under pressure is part of being a top player. More than the play itself though, it's the way that Wolf has fun the entire way through that makes this clip truly iconic. While there are countless examples of Wolf's stream antics before and after this moment has become a big part of Wolf's brand, and seeing him play games up for the camera are part of why his fans love watching him play. At its highest level, I believe Pokemon is a game bursting with potential for skill expression and personality, and no one embodies that idea.
See, fucking Landorus Therian, a cool ass looking Pokemon's got a stupid fucking hat with 3 balloons on it for flying type. Fuck you, Pokemon Company.
Better than Wolfie. From these moments and the history behind them, you start to see why Pokemon's most popular player, Wolf Click, became an icon. So, those were my most iconic Wolfie moments, but please let me know if any of your favorites didn't make the list in the comments below.
So yeah, that's Talon VGC. Please go follow him as well. But yeah, I love watching Wolfie's content. It's really, really good, especially if you're into the number crunching when it comes to Pokemon, right? So I play a lot of Nuzlocke. I'm currently in the middle of one, which I've taken a quick break from because it was breaking my brain. But essentially, a Nuzlocke is all about you and improving your knowledge of Pokemon, their moves, and how to maximize your wins and your strats with the most amount of preparation, and so you put out minimal effort and just breeze through, right? That's what you're trying to do. So while I know that what I use in the normal game that I play because it's not a VGC setting. It's always a one-on-one. It's a best of 6 or first to 6 wins, right? First to 6 knockouts. Sorry. Well, VGC is about 2v2s. So there are very rare occasions where you occasionally have double battles, but they're not very important apart from Tate and Liza, who are a gym leader who take you on double battles, and that's a pretty tough fight, especially in a Nuzlocke. But having information like what Wolfie teaches you about double battles, you can actually build a team that's almost perfect to take out those double battles without any problem. All it takes for you to do a bit of prep prior to the fight, and then just go in and just absolutely destroy, right? So if you are a Pokemon fan, I keep this over and over again. First of all, Talon BGC, great video. Go follow him. And of course, follow the man, the myth, the legend, Wolfie VGC. He is entertaining as hell. I love his videos. And Bug Month is happening right now. He's doing a whole bunch of bug-themed videos. He's got new merch. Go check it out. But thank you guys all so much for watching. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. If you like the video, hit the like button. And if you want to see more stuff like this, hit that subscribe button. And I'll catch you guys all next time. So from me, guys, till then, peace out.